For today's video, I want to share with you 5 bad habits that I'm working on correcting for the new year. And I also want to share with you a very simple, streamlined way that you can identify which bad habits are keeping you from getting into alignment with your goals for the year. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's jump right in. Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. If this is your first time with me, I would like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet. I'm an online entrepreneur who designs and sells productivity tools, strategies, and skills to help you manifest success with less stress. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave some links down below in the description box where you can check out more of my work online. And feel free to download some of my latest free productivity tools over at thecharmedshop.com. So before we actually jump into the video, I want to put a little disclaimer out there, which is that I am someone who absolutely believes in the adage that nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So when I say that these habits that I'm about to share with you today are bad habits that I want to switch out for better habits, it's not to say that the activity itself is necessarily bad. I'm sure that for some of you, you may actually do some of the things that I am going to show you in today's video, but that doesn't really make it bad, you know? It just, for me, means that they're bad because they're not helping me align to the goals that I have for the year. And to be really honest with you guys, I am sure that any one of us, myself included, could make a list of like a dozen to 100 or more habits that we have that are really negative, that we believe are negative at least. But we don't have to feel like we need to change each and every single one of those to have like the life that we want or to feel successful. I personally believe, and if you guys have been with me on my channel for a long time, if you're an OG, click that thumbs up button because you know that I really don't think you need to change everything. I don't think you need to make gigantic changes in your life in any area, but I think it's really those small strategic changes that you make that can really help you make a vast difference. So these 5 habits are by no means my only bad habits, but they're the ones that I've pretty much identified as being culprits that are holding me back from achieving my goals for the year. So if I swap them out for some better habits, then I should be able to achieve change, right? Because as some of my favorite quotes go, the first being, "You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit." And the second one, "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." So with that inspiration in mind, let's jump right into my 5 bad habits. The first bad habit that I am working on this year is to stop drinking coffee first thing in the morning. Now, I have no intention of ceasing coffee drinking entirely because I do love my coffee and it also helps me to regulate my migraines. So I'm absolutely not getting rid of coffee. However, I have done some research that has shown me that it's probably not the best thing for me to be drinking in the morning. So to help me to transition this habit from something that isn't serving me and aligning with my goals to one that is aligning with my goals, particularly my nutritional goals for the year, I have actually switched from coffee in the morning to making this green juice smoothie. So making this transition from coffee to green juice in the morning has been great because it's helping to support my nutritional goals. So I actually have 2 nutritional goals that I am working on this year. One of them is to regrow my hair back to its former glory. And then the second is to reach my healthy weight goal. Now, you might be watching this video thinking, "Alexis, your hair looks fine. What are you talking about?" But 2 years ago, I kind of had this perfect storm moment where I ended up damaging the cuticle or the outer layer of my hair, and it caused it to break, and I lost a lot of length in my hair. I'll try to throw up some like before and after photos so you guys can see the difference. But I've been working for the last like year to basically help my hair get back to normal, which for me has included going to get like Olaplex treatments to help re-strengthen and create bonds back in my hair. I've also basically let up on the hot tools. I only use that one Revlon styler, which is so much better for my hair than using a straightener and a curling iron. And then, of course, I also have taken measures nutritionally to help to make sure that my body is, working at its full capacity so that it can produce like hair that is, fully grown and is actually coming in nicely. Now, I have chosen the habit of the coffee for breakfast specifically because I've done some research and now I understand exactly why people say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that has nothing to do with the time of day that you eat your breakfast. And it has nothing to do with like the stereotypical breakfast foods. Instead, it has everything to do with the fact that the first meal that you put into your body after a period of fasting, which while you're sleeping, your body is in a fasting mode where it's repairing itself and detoxing, that nutrition from the first meal that you have in your day really absorbs much better into your body because it doesn't have any other like food competition in there, right? So if the first nutritionally significant thing you put in your body after you are breaking your fast, right? Breakfast, that's what it means, is going to be so much more important for your body, then I would rather skip the coffee and the creamer for something that is really going to be very nutritionally dense and be absorbed very quickly into my body. I actually call this drink my breakfast salad because it actually includes 4 servings of greens, usually spinach. It also has 2 additional servings of fruit and vegetables from the Amazing Grass Green Superfood powder mix that I use in this. And then I also put my morning vitamins and supplements in here. So basically this is like super jam-packed with nutrition in multiple different ways. And it's the first thing going in my body, which means that it is going to be well absorbed and the nutrition is going to go to work immediately. Plus there is so much fiber in this. It really helps to keep me full throughout the morning, which, as you know, if you have a healthy living goal, is so important for helping you to reach any healthy weight goals that you are looking to achieve. Okay, so while we're here in my kitchen, let's talk about bad habit number 2, which is that I would like to stop treating myself with food. So this obviously goes along with my nutritional goals as well, so more specifically, my healthy weight goal. So I am definitely someone who is a major proponent of the idea of treat yourself, right? I talk about it all the time. I'm a really big proponent of self-care. However, I do think that the idea of treating yourself with food in terms of being someone who might be working towards nutritional goals and perhaps being on a specific sort of diet that might restrict what you would normally be eating. I think there's this idea that is very prevalent, and at least it's definitely something that I have experienced, which is that you have a cheat meal or a cheat day, right? Where you can go off your diet. So I have decided that this is like one of the worst ideas that I ever let myself participate in as I'm going to a healthy, living goal, which is because, when you think about it, I'm training myself when I tell myself that there's treat food or a treat meal, that food is associated with happiness or a reward, which it absolutely isn't. Food is there to be like a nutritional part of your life. And I am by no means a doctor, you guys, or a nutritionist. So take everything I'm saying as just a woman who, like many others out there, have struggled with attaining their personal health goals. And I've just realized that this idea of having treat meals, treat food is really sabotaging my progress. So now what I'm doing moving forward in 2019 is that I don't have treat meals, I don't have treat food. What I do instead now is that any meals that I would normally have considered myself to be a treat, I actually find healthy alternatives for that I actually get really excited about now. And a really good example for this, if you are not following me on Instagram, you guys may have seen this on my Instagram story, but I recently purchased a Belgian waffle machine and I found this amazing protein waffle recipe that totally fits in with the macros that I'm trying to, fit into for my healthy living goals. And It is the most amazing thing ever, because in previous iterations of me trying to diet, I would consider waffles to be like my treat meal, right? So like if I was gonna like break my diet, I would go get waffles. Oh my God, I love waffles. And the fact that I have actually found a way to eat them, not as a treat, but literally I eat them several times a week now, because they're not a treat anymore. They're just a part of my diet. So I do this with a lot of different recipes now. Like, this is my mindset, is there is no treat. So find a way to make it work for your day. This has been helping me so much, because even though I have changed the way that I'm eating in order to help me reach those healthy weight goals, I really don't feel like I'm on a diet at all. And in fact, I feel like this is such a better way to approach dieting, right? Which I'm sure many of you out there are hearing me and saying like, amen, that's exactly how to do it, right? You're doing it right this time, Alexis. Is that I am just making really healthy changes that are super sustainable. Like, why would I ever go buy a waffle at the diner anymore? My protein waffle is really delicious. So that is bad habit number 2. I'm gonna stop treating myself with food, and instead what I'm going to do is find the swaps, right? The healthy swaps for how I can actually make those cravings a reality in my life. And then you know what it ends up doing? It really has already, just the waffle example, has already changed my perception of waffles. I know that sounds crazy, but it's already changed my perception that like, oh, this isn't a treat anymore. Like, this is normal food I'm allowed to have, right? So it just does something, I think, in your brain. So that is what I've been doing. Whenever there's something that I want, I can have it. It might just not be in the exact form that I'm used to, but I will find a way to make it work so that I can absolutely have everything I want on my new healthy living journey. So the next bad habit that I'm working on for the year is to stop mindlessly checking my phone and social media. Now, I'm sure this is a common habit that many of you may also be struggling with. Nowadays, we all have these magical little smartphones and they keep us connected, but they also end up taking a lot of our attention and almost causing like a fake sort of ADD in our minds that we always get distracted by our phones. So obviously, checking social media for me, checking the phone for me is part of my job, but there is absolutely a place where that absolutely ends and really just becomes like an obsessive behavior. And so this year I am working on reducing that. Now, one of the reasons that I really want to work on this is because I've set a goal for mindfulness for the year for myself in terms of taking action to actually reduce my stress, as well as to make sure that I'm focusing more on manifestation and really like raising my positive vibration. And so checking social media all the time is absolutely not fitting in with that. In fact, I feel like what it does is it raises your stress levels because there is some nagging feeling that you get that you have to check your phone. And although I know that one of the common issues associated with people who are, looking at social media too much is that it can have a negative influence on your self-esteem because you might be seeing these perfect images on Instagram. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. I would say that I've been online and I'm mature enough at this point that I don't actually believe anything I see on Instagram. I just think, oh, that's pretty and inspiring. So I don't take anything personally, but I do definitely feel like when I am wasting my time just checking feeds and seeing if I am, if I've been messaged or anything like that, I definitely am telling myself, in a subconscious level that what I'm doing right now in the real world is not as important as what's going on in the fake world of the internet. So I definitely think that that is a really big reason for me why I need to kind of not cut the cord with social media, but be more deliberate about it. So because this is such a kind of difficult habit, I feel like to break, because I am, pretty much required by my job to be checking this on a regular basis, I have decided that I'm going to take a little bit of an unconventional approach to helping me with this habit. And because the bad habit is that I'm mindlessly checking, I thought, you know what? Well, what if we make it intentional every time we check it? So the way that I'm going to do this now is As I go to my phone and I'm looking through my Instagram and things like that, I have like a mantra that I need to actually say while I'm doing it that actually helps me to kind of manifest more positively. And I know might be like totally out of the ballpark for many of you, and I completely understand. Feel free to, X-nay this portion of the video if you don't vibe with it. But, I feel like at least if every time I go to my phone and I'm checking for things, I'm repeating like a positive mantra, then I feel like it's going to be much more helpful for me in terms of actually putting the phone down and getting more in the moment with my life. Because using a mantra, can through repetition help to rewire your brain. So I am hoping that that actually helps me curb the mindless phone checking, but I also hope that it helps me to bring an actual purpose when I am touching my phone, if that makes sense. As we're on the topic of my mindfulness goals for the year, let's go ahead and talk about bad habit number 4, which is I need to stop working after work hours. Now, because I'm someone who works from home, runs their own business, the line between work and personal is very blurred for me. I definitely have my own dedicated spaces for work here in my beautiful home office, but this office, even though it represents work to me, is a part of my overall home. So it is a little bit hard for me from time to time to really be able to cut off from work because I feel like I'm always connected to it while I'm at home. So in terms of my goals for the year, specifically that mindfulness goal, one of the things that I am really focused on is lowering my stress levels. And I really feel like the big issue that working after work hours causes for me is that it keeps me in a beta brain state. Now, if you have not seen my mind control techniques video, which is all about the brain states and what they represent, I will leave that link down below and I highly recommend you check it out. But essentially, being in that brain state of beta is the work and focus brain state, and it's a great state for getting things done. But if you remain in beta for too long or reach higher levels of the beta brainwave state, it does have very negative repercussions for your stress and health. It causes stress, anxiety, depression. You can actually end up getting addicted to the hormones that your body will, shoot through your body in order to kind of help balance you out when you get to a beta state. So I am trying my best this year to reduce my overall stress by making sure that I spend, a significant amount of time out of beta. So that's why for me, working after work is a little bit of an issue because it can cause me to get back into that brain state, especially after work hours in the evenings when I really just need to be focused on like alpha state into theta state so that I can go into delta when I fall asleep easier. So this habit, honestly, I think is going to be one that I absolutely need to almost create a very step-by-step evening routine after work. Now, I've kind of always had like a loose routine after work, but I think I need to start being like a lot more intentional with what I do after work. I just need to establish a routine that is going to help me actually avoid working after work hours are over. And my 5th and final bad habit that I'm working on for the year is I need to stop buying myself everything that I want. I know this one sounds maybe a little bit silly or like very privileged first world, and it is. Now, I think one of the reasons I got into this bad habit of spending more than I need to is because over the last few years since purchasing my house, I haven't had like a clear financial goal that I'm working towards. Now, obviously this is independent of like, retirement funds and investments and things like that and healthcare and things like that. That's all like, taken care of and like structured. But since I didn't have a concrete financial goal in the past few years for like why I would be saving money, I kind of just spent my extra money, right? And that's not the best use of funds, right? And I feel like it put me in kind of like a negative spiral with like spending and buying things that I didn't really need or didn't use for very long, or it was just like pure consumerism and excess. So this year, I have caught on to this, and now I have set myself a financial goal for something that I would like to achieve. So now I have like a purpose for where my money is going to go, where my extra money is going to go, instead of me buying whatever tickles my fancy that day. So the swap that I've actually put in place for this one is that now instead of just buying myself whatever I want, I will put things down on a wish list in my planner, which this is the first time I've had a wish list in my planner in a couple of years, but it does serve a really good purpose. It really puts my purchasing in check and forces me to, not completely say I'm not going to purchase something, but it puts me in a state where I'm in a holding pattern where I'm not going to immediately buy something that I might regret buying later. And, it gives me a little bit of a cooling off period to decide whether or not I still want the thing I wanted in a number of days, weeks, etc. Okay, so those are the 5 bad habits that I'm going to be working on swapping out for some better alternatives this year. And I'm sure many of you have kind of caught on to the system or my thought process for how I'm determining these, but just to make sure, I want to sum up this video by giving you that streamlined process of how you can apply this information to your own life and your own habits. So first of all, I start with my goals in mind, right? Like I said earlier in the video, I'm sure you've got a lot of habits that you would label as bad habits, but not all of them are actually causing as much ruckus in your life, I'm sure, as you might think. So I like to start with where my goals are and my goal setting process, right? So once I know what my goals are for the year, I can then determine which habits need to be adjusted in order to align with those. So if you are someone who has not gone through a goal setting process yet, I highly recommend that you do that. I think it's definitely a wonderful thing to do every year. So if you need more resources for that, I will link down below my Smart Goal Setting 101 video. And if you watch that video and you are interested in a little bit more detail and really like in a complete process that I use for setting my goals, getting my priorities in order, managing my habits, and then of course organizing my life around the achievement of my goals, then I highly recommend checking out my You Got This workbook. I will leave a link down below for that as well. Okay, so once you have your goals set for the year, I want you to sit and take some time evaluating each goal and understanding the current issues in your life and the current situations in your life that are keeping you from achieving that goal. Now, a lot of times we create goals because there are things that we don't have right now that we do want to have, right? So I want you to take some time, either sit and think about this or journal it out. That would be a great activity for you to do. I want you to process and understand why you do not have that goal met right now, what stands in the way. So as I gave you examples earlier in this video, we talked about, for each one of the bad habits, what the issue it was creating in my life was for me reaching a certain goal. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to understand what those issues are that are stopping you from having your goal right now. So then once you understand what the key issues are that are holding you back from your goals, I want you to think about the habits that come into play and affect those issues, right? So you can make a list of some habits, and I want you to think which ones are really playing a big part. And I really think it's important for you to see the habits in your head, like give yourself a moment to see them in your head and how they are tripping you up. I think for many of us, just going through this process, by this point, you may actually really feel like you know what the bad habit is that needs to be targeted, but take some time to really imagine or again, journal through this activity, understand where that habit goes wrong in your life and keeps you from that goal. And then if it really does have a significant impact, right? Because a lot of times I think, like I said earlier, you may think something's a bad habit and it may be a bad habit, but it may not actually be resulting in any significant issues. So you really need to take your time to understand which habits are causing the actual issues and are directly related to the issues that are keeping you from your goals. So once you've gone through this process for all of the goals on your list and you've got those key habits that you need to work on, the next thing you absolutely need to do is find a swap for each habit. So I like to call this a swap-opportunity, an opportunity to swap a bad habit for a good habit. This is a term that I frequently use with my students in my classes, especially pertaining to habit formation, and it actually comes from a very old Yoplait yogurt commercial, but I love this term, swap-opportunity. So you need to find what the swap-opportunity is with your habit. So what will you be doing instead of that bad habit that will then help you to reach your goal and make that connection so you are in alignment with your goals? And then from there, it's just a matter of keeping those habits and swap opportunities in mind so that you can then execute on them. And I absolutely recommend using your planner for this. So if you have a planner that maybe has a habit tracker like the master planner does, or if even in your daily or weekly pages, you can list out the habits that you are focusing on and make sure that that's kind of like a to-do item for the day, I highly recommend that, because once we know the swaps that we're trying to make, it's not going to just happen on its own. We really need to put effort into it, and you don't want to forget about this. You don't want to forget what the swaps are, and you need to make sure that you keep it on the top of your mind. So whatever method you can use to kind of remind yourself and track your success will come in handy. And remember, they do say that it takes 21 days to change a habit. So this is something where you're going to want to do this for a couple of weeks straight, and then hopefully it's been ingrained in you as a new habit, as a part of your routine. And of course, if you go through this process with a habit and then you do make the swap successfully, but you're still struggling to reach your goal, definitely reevaluate the situation. Again, like I said, not every habit change is actually going to lead you to the result that you want. So if you try something and it doesn't work, do not fret about it. Just figure out what the next thing is going to be that you're going to try, because this is sometimes a trial and error process, even for me. So I hope this video and this information helps you to swap out some bad habits that help you reach your goals for the year. I absolutely want to hear from you down in the comments. Let me know in the comments down below what bad habits you're working on and what the swaps are going to be for you. I think that would be a great way for us to all share our own examples and inspiration for the rest of the community. And I want you to think about one person you know right now who is struggling with their own habits or could use this information. And I want you to go ahead and grab the URL to this video and send this to them right now, because sharing is caring. And I'm sure they will appreciate you thinking of them and helping them get through their own personal struggles. If you want more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.